Alrighty, guys, hello and welcome back to the show. We have a cast slash replay review on the cards for you guys today. In the northern corner, we have Flood, who's going to UEF opening first land. In the southern corner, a man that probably needs no introduction, but we'll introduce him anyway. We have Linus Tech going UEF opening first land. Got some P-Gens queued up as well as first mass extractors. We'll go to split screen while we take a look at these guys' openings. So, I am 99.9% sure that this is actually Linus Sebastian of Linus Tech Tips. And the reason why is because one of my, I was watching I've watched Linus Tech Tips a good amount, gotten a lot of free tech tips. Thank you, Linus. And what TV show is that from? Thank you, Linus. Oh, that's How I Met Your Mother. I'll drop a clip. Anyway, Linus, wow, that was way out of left field as Linus sets up 4 land factories around his hydro and Flood gets an air factory queued up, so going second air. So I'm 99.9% sure that this is the actual Linus Tech Tips, or Linus Sebastian from Linus Tech Tips, mostly because about this is maybe 3-4 months ago, I was watching a video. It was a review of a display panel, I think, and on the during the review, he was like, okay, to test this out, I'm going to boot into one of my favorite games, Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. I almost busted a nut right there. I was like, that's incredible. One of the best YouTubers or tech YouTubers plays Forged Alliance forever. And it's not just filled with tiny YouTubers like myself and slightly larger ones like Guile. And so anyway, I was really happy to see that. And I went and looked for some of his games at the time. He didn't really have anything out there, so I didn't really think a whole lot of it. But I went and checked today. He's got quite a few games that are up. A lot of ladder matches. One of them is against Flood. Now, Flood has been around the game for a while, at least as long as I've been a part of the Forged Alliance Forever community. He is extremely good at not dying. He's not very good, at least the times that I've played against him. He's not great at winning the early game, but he's really good at making himself very difficult to kill and driving you insane trying to kill him. He's very good at that. I myself have gone insane and had nightmares of some of my games against Flood. But regardless, Linus has got a Mech Marine out and is going to be potentially not going for the Engineer. Okay, so first, free FAF tip. That was a weird thing to say, I feel like. First free FAF tip, we're gonna embrace it and go with it. He's got you need to pair a scout with your Mech Marines. Mech Marines don't have a whole lot of vision, so he is gonna bag 1 engineer kill here, potentially 2, but needs to, if you had paired a scout with it, could have gotten this guy as well. So that is free FAF tip number 1 in return for all of the tech tips that you have given me over the years. So we're going to bump this up a little bit because this is a pretty long game. And just, to be 100% honest with you guys, I don't want to be here for I don't want to spend all the time casting the game. Flood goes for drone, and then he's also got Mech Marines that are out and about within Linus's base. I don't think that these guys are going to get a whole lot done. This one actually might bag a Lobo kill. We're not going to get on past it. But so Flood, he is kind of known for, at least among my friend group, because we've talked, me and a couple of my friends are all about kind of the 700 to 1K, or I think actually 1.2K. I think one of the guys that I hang out with a good amount on FAF has gotten up to, I think, 1.2K. We talk about is in all of our games we played against him, he goes for these shoulder drones, and then he micros them to reclaim or capture your mexes. He does it a lot. He's very good at it. So I'm not sure if that's what he's going to do. It looks like in this particular instance, he's going to go back here and grab these mexes in the back. As Linus has T1 units that are pushing north, picking up a couple of the perimeter mexes. But at this point in the game, things are definitely looking, I think, in Linus's favor. So he has pretty good control over this secondary starting location, as well as pretty good control over both of his starting locations. So he's got his commander in one, engineer moving towards the other, with a good amount of T1 spam moving in that direction. So another free FAF tip is don't build mech marines after your initial raiding party. They do have extremely good efficiency as far as mass per DPS invested, but even with the buffs that they've gotten over the last, I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, they got buffed a lot. Maybe it was longer. Maybe it was longer than that. But a while back, we did a series of tests, Kappa and I did, where one player went only for labs and the other player built like a normal build order. And it was impossible for the lab player to win. And even in the science videos that I've done testing on, they don't have enough HP to stand up. 60 HP is just a little bit too paper thin, especially whenever you're trying to kill a commander. It's a little too much to deal with. But Linus doing a good job here. Got raiding parties in the back, got raiding parties in the north, raiding parties all over the place. And is going to take out, I think, every single perimeter mechs there for Flood, with the exception of this plateau. Which props for Flood to go. Props to Flood for going for that. I forget that like every single game I play on this map. I know I shouldn't, but I do. And I'm sad because I do. Okay, so we're going to bump up the speed a little bit to get to the next thing that I kind of wanted to talk about. So Linus going through, continuing to kind of secure more perimeter base there. And this is where I say Flood does a really good job at staying alive. So he's already up at Tech 2, got a T2 power generator going up. He's got one T2 support factory. Linus is also recently at Tech 2. Flood got there a little bit before he did. So Flood dropping a Triad in the middle of his base, dropping a plasma cannon, and then using his commander to kind of mop up all of these T1 units. So doing a really good job of kind of punishing the, well, actually he's taking a lot of punishment himself right now, but doing a good job of punishing the kind of slow trickle that Linus is sending as far as T1 units moving into the base. So that would be FAF tip, free FAF tip, sorry. Number 3, understand when you can win and how to win. So sending multiple different battle groups in kind of a staggered fashion gave him the best possible scenario to set up point defense, to allow his point defense to do the best that they possibly could. Whereas if you had sent everything that you had in at once, probably could have overwhelmed him, I think. I'm not positive. But right now, you're now starting to deal with point defense creep. You got Triads coming out, Railgun. You have Tech 2 on your commander. I try to stay relatively unbiased in my casts. This one, I'm not going to hide it. Linus is one of the YouTubers that motivated me to get into YouTube and content creation. So I'm in his corner here. I'm not going to try and hide it. He is going to overwhelm this position though. Drop these engineers. Hopefully take out this point defense. Right? Hello? Okay. Not going to get it. Drop the speed down a little bit for now. So next thing to talk about. So you're having a power problem. You got 99 problems and power is one of them. This is not a great spot to put your only T2 power generator. Nope, sorry, it's not your only T2 power generator. You have another one somewhere. Do you? Nope, I don't think you do. Not a good spot to put your only T2 power generator as you lose your hydro. You want to put that in a little bit more of a secure location. You also don't want to be investing this much into clink hammers, I don't think. At this point in the game, it looks pretty good, right? You can range his entire base, but you don't know what's in his base because there's no scouting, and you also don't have a whole lot of radar. I think you've only got this radar right here, and then I think a scout in this little mix right here. So you need a little bit more radar. That is disgusting. This might be the most triggering thing I could possibly imagine to happen on this map. Shoulder drone goes and builds a land factory here. He's got Lobos on the cliffs, has taken out all of the core mexes. For whatever reason, he left the T2HQ alive. Not quite sure on that one. And is now destroying core power, taking out some factories. I mean, this is a bloodbath here, guys. That's terrible. Now Lobo, please kill the factory. Yep, that factory is done. Obviously got left alive earlier, but it is Dunzo City now. He's got mobile missile launchers up in the expansion bases. I don't think Linus sees any of this. He's seen the radar that is in the back, but he doesn't know where the mobile missile launchers are. He doesn't know about this whole huge issue that is happening here. He's just seeing his buildings disappear from the map. And now we've got the shoulder drone just going and building mexes in Linus's base. How nuts is that? That's insane. Okay. So, Flood, fantastic at guerrilla warfare, for lack of a better term. Whenever he loses the entire map, he finds these little spots to like burrow in. He's got a factory up here. Factory has caused a lot of problems for Linus. Took out this northern expansion. He's got these mobile missile launchers down here that have taken out an expansion. It looks like a couple of these are going to make it away too, because they're only being chased by mech marines. And all this is happening because Linus has no radar. It looks like he's scouted this now. He has gone for air in the middle, finally. I think it was like 17 minutes. Went for air. He had no air up until 17 minutes, which is a problem in and of itself. So, free to FAF tech tip number, what are we at, 4? Build air, probably 3rd or 4th in ladder matches. I used to go 2nd air all the time. I think that 3rd or 4th air is a little better because it allows you to get some stable, it allows you to get both stable engineer production and stable land unit production out. And then you can go for air to do some scouting, get some interceptors out. And I have not run into huge amounts of problems with getting hit by bombers and going 2nd air. Usually if somebody commits to bombers, speaking of bombers, going on this Tech 2 factory, there's a skyboxer already out, as well as static AA. That's going to be a huge problem as far as dealing with that factory. And he sent all of his Tech 1 units in here. Probably going to be able to bag that shoulder drone as well. Archers have terrible aim. I did not go to archery school. So, looking at where we are in the match right now, we have, and we can talk economics here for a second, 63,000 versus 50,000 for Flood. So, Flood should have nowhere near 50,000 mass, and I think a lot of it is due to reclaim. Yeah, so 370 versus 15,000 reclaim. Gotta be reclaiming. The best way to do this, the way that I do it, which is the easiest, and because I am all about lowest effort, maximum rewards. And if you have the default keybinds, you can just select an engineer, hold Alt, right click, and it will do an attack move. Let me see if I can demonstrate on the video here. So you do Alt, attack move, and then just right click. And that will tell that engineer to reclaim everything in its path. Probably a bunch of other things that you actually didn't mean for it to do as well, but it's a really good start as far as automatically utilizing reclaim. So Linus making another push here is going to take out a T3 land HQ, which is really good. So Clink Hammers are paying off a little bit here. And then T1 and T2 units go streaming in. Takes out a power generator as well. And he's going to bag 322 mexes. Triads, though, are absolutely going to work. We got 2 here. We got another one down here. Another one right there. So lots of units dying to point defense fire. I think that's going to be it for the push. Yep. As you get closer, more units get into triad range. It's not good. Okay. Oh, you have another push going on down here as well. It's going to run into mongoose as well as triad fire. Man, these triads are everywhere. And they're all getting hugely good value. That one's about to vet. Yeah, 1 vet on that. 6 kills on that one. 9 kills on that one. 18 kills on that one. Yeah, so a lot of these triads have just huge amounts of veterancy. Considering these can be taken out at range by either the Clink Hammers or the mobile missile launchers. I think taking these out at range and then sending your units in is going to be the best course of action. As Flood has rebuilt his Tech 2 HQ and is going almost immediately for a Tech 3 HQ as well. It's got to be, his economy's got to be loving that. Indicative, he's got 9 mass income right now outside of reclaim. Am I reading that right? Yeah, 9 mass income outside of reclaim, which is insane. That is off of, how many mexes does he have? He has, what, does he have a mex? He's got 1, right? There's a mex here. Oh yeah. So he has, how many mexes is that? He has 3 mexes. 4. He's got his 4th mex, boys. 4th mex up. So at this point, there are 4 mongoose. And let's just select all of his base. There are 3 Lobos, a mobile missile launcher, a mongoose, and a skyboxer. That is his entire base as far as military. Sorry, 4 Lobos. This kind of critical mass right here, especially if you brought this, bring this army up there and then just run it in. And he's done. I don't think he can stop you. But the problem is you don't really have any radar, even though you are scouting now, which is good. You weren't scouting earlier. Except all these seem to be on like some weird patrol. Yeah, so these are on a patrol right out of the factory? I think. I don't know. Oh yeah, so you've just done like a huge right click out of the factory. You're also floating mass. So, okay, let's talk about at this point in the game how you win. It's one of 2 ways. It's not this. It's not splitting up your forces and sending like a small amount of units in. It's not how you win the game at this point. This group will most likely die too, if not now, then eventually. But what you've got to do is you secure this side of the map with maybe a handful of point defense. He's got next to nothing, right? He had he had 9 units. The only thing that he can do is point defense creep you. You've already got this side secure. So if you secure the southern side here with like 3 triads, maybe 4, then you're golden to just boom back behind here. You grab all of the mexes. Grab, you know, this engineer. Just click all of the mexes. Doesn't matter if they're T1, doesn't matter if they're T2, doesn't matter. Then you go T3 on this HQ, which you are doing right now, and build a T3 power generator, and you go for a fat boy right off the bat. And there's nothing he can do to stop that. And I mean, a fat boy is like pretty expensive, so I mean, even if you don't want to do a fat boy, then I mean, go for demolishers instead, like, which is your T3 mobile artillery. I feel like I'm at like a cashier at like a fast food restaurant. Like, oh, okay, sir, the fat boy is not doing it for you. Can I interest you in a demolisher? Like, oh my gosh. It's like the worst dad joke ever. But either way, that's like your win condition. Or just T2 mobile missile launchers even. I think at this point. He doesn't have Ravagers up. At least I don't think. No Ravagers. He does have a SAM up. I mean, you could also even just go for mass air superiority. But it's easy to get into these. It's easy to get into these situations. I do this all the time, where you feel like your opponent is just like taking your units apart with point defense every time you go in, and it's a weird psychological space. Like, I think that Forged Alliance Forever is as much a psychological game as it is actually an actions per minute and a skill-based game. Like, if your opponent can get into your head, is that a shoulder drone doing? No, that's just a regular engineer. But if your opponent can get into your head and throw you off balance, it's going to make it way harder for you to win the game. And the way that Flood plays is a great like method of psychological warfare to some extent within Forged Alliance Forever. And in order to fight it, you really just have to kind of maintain your cool, as these drones are still out here doing their thing. Actually, I think I saw some... I didn't see kennels. I guess they were just parked engineers. So, like, at this point in the game, you really just have to go for standoff tactics. And I don't mean, like, dukes or anything like that, or nukes, or Duke nukes. Duke Nukem. You just need mobile missile launchers or mobile artillery. T3 mobile artillery. And he's done. I don't think there's anything he can do to stop you. You also gotta stop making T1, though. Like, Lobos are... You have a lot of Lobos. A lot of Lobos. Is that all you're making as far as T1 goes right now? Okay, you don't have any T1 factories anymore. Okay, so that's good. You're not making T1 anymore. You got T3 out on the field. That's good. These scout planes keep getting annihilated by the SAM sites. If only these scout planes, if they could go Mach 5, Mach 6, somewhere in there, then the missiles would just bunch up right next to the engines and then run out of fuel and fall away. At least that's what I've been told. Cannot confirm or deny if that's true or not. That's a juicy little takedown. Okay, going in the back. Leading with mobile missile launchers. It's not good. You've got mobile missile launchers in your mix. The problem is that you're putting them too far forward. So you gotta have your mobile missile launchers on either a different control group or something like that. And you're even doing that here. Got a lot of flapjacks in this mix. So you just got to move them forward. I mean, what in terms of triads does Flood have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 5 triads on the field. So not even a whole lot in terms of point defense. I think it's just go time. He's got a couple of plasma cannons as well. It's just go time, I think. You could win it with this. This little force right here, these 3 battle groups, marshal them all right here, just right in. Just ram that right up into him. He'll die. So you're going to have a lot of units. They're going to make a really, really long column. And that will ram straight into him. And then he'll die. But Titans now out on the field for Flood. 4 of them, in fact. One's going to drop. I think that's going to be the only one that drops. Another one's coming to replace it, though. So, little battle group's going to get taken out from you. These bombers are just causing havoc. I scrolled over a little bit at the beginning, but the T1 bomber play from Flood at the beginning was absolutely outstanding. And by outstanding, I mean his bombers killed things, which is way more than I can say about almost every single T1 bomber I've ever fielded. Alright, next scout is on the chopping block. Here we go. And pew 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 pew. What do you think is going through these guys' heads? Like, so the factory is making their plane, right? And you've got a pilot who's just come out of flight school. And he's all excited. And he's like, all right, I am ready to fly my first mission. And he looks at his commanding officer and he goes, so how many people are in the squad? And the commanding officer goes, there's 9 people in the squad. And the pilot's like, I thought this program has been going on for forever. And the guy goes, yeah, we've never had anybody return. Like, that's like, but it's okay. Here's your plane. It's almost ready to go. And pew. Okay. And the pilot's like, yeah, buddy, we're going to be the first one to return. And then the rally point ends right here in 2 SAM sites. He's going through briefing like, well, intel shows relatively light defenses here. Oh man. Okay. 5 Titans. Same Titans that we saw retake kind of the northern section. They've made it past Linus's initial units here and are going to go in. They're going to grab 2 T2 power generators. It looks like Linus is having power problems too. So that's probably not going to help anything. I'm going to grab both of the engineers that are working on the T3 power plant. I'm going to grab mexes. Just cause all sorts of damage here. And that's a bummer. We've also got Ravagers coming out, so this is no longer a viable place to attack with T2. You need some T3, you need some Demolishers, or a Fat Boy. Whichever you would like, a Demolisher with cheese or a Fat Boy with bacon, one of the two. And the Titans are now going to keep rolling through, and... Okay, these engineers are building a T3 Mex. So that's ambitious. Negative 127 on mass, negative 2,000 on power. If you're going to have these guys building mexes in your current state, economic state, you probably want them building T1. Maybe T2 if you're planning on fixing the power situation anytime soon, but I mean, you have 1 and then 2 T2 power generators, and you don't have a T3 P gen up yet. So just lots of power issues. I think shut down both of your air factories at this point. Build T1 mexes, and I would honestly say use these guys to build another T2 power generator. This is never going to get done. I mean, I don't know. Maybe at least turn off all of your portable shields. Like, turn off anything that is going to be draining power from that thing. Alright, so bombers. We're gonna clean this up eventually, I think. Or not. We're gonna have more T3 engineers sacrificed to the Titans. Gods of Olympus could not save them from the Titans. This is also 1.7 to 37k. Yeah, so reclaim very important on this map. There's 54,000 reclaim. Okay, everybody needs to be reclaiming. Flood's side looks relatively clean, at least, well, the little bit that he's been able to control. Only other thing I would say to Flood is whenever you're grabbing these plateaus, drop a factory and just have engineers roaming through those cliffs. More engineer casualties. As Linus is trying to get that T3 power generator up. And finally, the 5-star Titan will go down. Oh my lord. Alright. Linus is negative 183 and negative 2,741. How many mexes does Linus have? So we've got 1, 2, 3. He has 3. They are all T2 though. Is that right? Yeah, plus 19. He has 3 mexes. But they are all T2 on the bright side. So there's a bright side. And I think that is something that could have been avoided with radar, better radar coverage. Like, not sure if I did this earlier in the video, but let's grab T3 engineer here. Flip this to T2 radar. If you look at that, T2 radar covers pretty much the entire southern half of the map. And then if you put another one up here, it's all the northern side of the map. And that's great. It gives you visibility over his entire base. Gives you visibility into any run bys or anything. And because Flood is UEF, he doesn't have any kind of Cybran run by mobile stealth kind of tactics. So at least gives you warning to things like this that are happening. Engineers going out and reclaiming or doing other things. It's another little free FAF tip. Things are a little bit silent. So large T3 army moving out. We got 2 Percivals, 3 Percivals, and it looks like 7 or 8 Titans. And that is going to be it for Linus's little fire base here. Linus is cursing. Oh my lord. So what my grandmother said, that was not in the book. My grandmother would, she really liked, I'm not gonna go there. Anyway, let's, we got lots of Titans backing T3 mexes now. And Linus's commander is actually in a rather precarious position. He's trying to build a Ravager there. And I guess Flood is gonna leave him alone. I can't say that's really, that's much like the Flood. Usually they're an all-consuming beast. And trying to build another Ravager here. And Flood does not like that. Titans come in. Percival's coming in from the west. Linus eats a huge Percival barrage, and I think that is going to be it for our Star Tech YouTuber in this game. Bloody crazy game. It's got to be a Canadian. I don't know. Do Canadians say bloody? I thought that was the UK. Maybe they do. I'm not sure. Okay, so we're going to summarize the things that Linus could have done better. Okay, so first off, very late to the air game. I think it was like 17 minutes or so whenever I first saw the air factory. And I think that air could have helped him out a lot in the early game. I didn't talk about it a whole lot, but you got absolutely wrecked by T1 bombers. Second thing is scouting. And I sit up here in my caster chair, and I'm a huge hypocrite here because I'm like, scouting is so important. Everybody should be scouting. And then I don't do it in my own games. And, you know, I'm okay. I will submit myself to public ridicule because I know it's important. I'm just an idiot and don't do it myself. So I will submit myself to public ridicule there. Third thing, radar. Having radar is extremely important, especially on a map like this that's very big and very open. It can allow you to see enemy movements and enemy run-bys. Would have allowed you to see the little factory kind of set up there. Would have allowed you to see the 4 MMLs that ran by there. Would have allowed you to see the factory up here. There's a lot of things that it would have helped you pick up on. Fourth is not throwing units into the meat grinder. So I'll summarize this real quick. Jagged Appliance, one of the professionals in the Forge Alliance Forever community, did a great video on this several months back. It was like 5 or 6 months ago, I think. Still very pertinent though. I'll see if I can find it and link it down in the description below. But it was basically a very similar situation where you have one side that's kind of doing a turtle kind of gameplay and another side that's playing a little bit more standard. And he walks through kind of how to beat it. So don't throw units into the meat grinder, essentially, is the name of the game, because you're feeding your opponent reclaim there. And we can see Flood had 44,000 reclaim. And I mean, I'm not going to bet. Last time I checked in, Linus had 1.7. I don't think he closed the gap by, 40,000 in the 10 minutes it was since I checked. Number 5, use standoff tactics in a game like this. Or use containment tactics, I think it'd be the best way to say it. So in an instance where you have, 70% of the map under your control, the best thing that you can do to win against your opponent, instead of just slamming units into static defenses and feeding him mass, is going to be use standoff tactics to contain him to the area of the map that he has. If you have 80% of the map and you boom behind a couple of PDs or some mobile artillery or something like that, it'll be invaluable to you. It'll allow you to go for demolishers. You can even go for a nuke. You could go for air. You could have gone for strats. Like that would have been huge if you could have pulled that off. So utilizing standoff tactics, not like the super expensive ones, but like the ones that just kind of keep him a little bit at arm's distance while you get your economy all rocking and rolling. And I think the last one would be teching faster, honestly. So like going to tech 3, I think at about 25 minutes is kind of the sweet spot on ladder matches. So that was, I think it was 7, if I'm counting correctly, free FAF tips for you, plus the others that I had sprinkled throughout the game. As always, guys, I've hidden an Easter egg in my video that is tied to a movie or video game. If you guys can find it, comment it down below. And with that, yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.